Hi, you're with Julian on the Brown Note, and I'm just doing a bit of a roundup of a couple of perhaps lesser albums from artists I really like, because it's been a bit sporadic since I started my new job, so I'm just trying to fit in doing these and the radio show and everything else. So in the coming week, there's going to be some very big review albums, some of the biggest of the year, like the indie royalty from Britain in a golden period of British indie guitar music, second album from Working Men's Club, third album from Black Midi. There's also the Sons, I always forget the name of it, but the post-Cocteau Twins Elizabeth Fraser project as well, and new stuff by Orbital. So I just thought I'd get a couple of not middling, but sort of 7 out of 10 albums. So Westside Gunn, also known as Alvin Lamar Worthy, is kind of the head of Griselda Records from Buffalo, crucially Buffalo, not New York, but Buffalo, New York, which appears to be a godforsaken frozen tundra, possibly where Sly Stone's from. I'm not quite sure now. So he's been very prolific, and I think the most interesting thing in American rap over the last few years, in a bad period, a lot of, just people like Travis Scott are just so what? I just don't really care. And I think it's been a rough period. I mean, New York suddenly sort of snapped into focus with Pop Smoke, and then he was gone. And then they kept releasing these absolutely garbage albums that had Pop Smoke's name on it that had nothing to do with his sound, or either of those iconic mixtapes, which are magnificent. So since then, I think the Griselda crew, which is the main ones, Westside Gunn, Conway the Machine, I think it's Conway the Machine, and Benny Butcher, and probably the best of the lot, Mach Hommy, have been absolutely superb. I've loved Westside Gunn in all of his Ghostface Killer glory. He's come back with a very low-key project. That's my dad phoning. Which is, he's very prolific. Like, he drops stuff all the time. So he's done his Hitler Wears Hermes, the provocatively titled mixtape series. There's 7 of those. This one's called Peace Fly God. It's like his 10th or 11th mixtape since 2012. I guess his most famous studio album, would be Pray for Paris. Certainly the one that I've played the most. I think I featured that on my show. So this is a very different album for him. It's one that was produced in 2 days, whereas he normally spends a lot of time curating his music. He's very into art and fashion. And he's used probably 3, I think, producers on this record. It's for me, its strength is the fact that it is so low key and so low stakes, and asks so little of the listener. It's not some big event at all. The 2-minute track on it is an epic. Jesus Crack is nearly 9 minutes long, and it doesn't really change much, but I found the lyrics on it really quite interesting and intense. God so loved the world, he gave it cocaine. Communion on the stove. And it ends on this sort of a cappella thing. It doesn't really go anywhere, but the music throughout this is kind of that lush, sort of breezy Alchemist, I guess, style. And one of the key elements of the sort of Griselda crew is that they have a very sort of old school boom bap element to their, they're not drill. They're not like modern variants of UK drill or something, or mumble rap. It's got a real old school boom bap feel about it. Rich Barton is gloriously wonky. Don Carrera, I think, is a producer of all of the opening half of the album. And that track is really good, and so is the follow-up, Big Ass Bracelet, which is, again, it's got that lushness that reminds me of Supreme Clientele. And I have always thought the Westside Gunn was an awful lot like Ghostface Killer, so that does kind of fit. In fact, he actually recorded an album called Supreme Clientele. That was great, and probably the highlight of the album are the 3 tracks produced by, one of the top tier producers in hip hop ever, Madlib. Derek Bowman is really, really good. And also Horses on the Sunset has a really sort of maudlin, downbeat feel about it, which I thought was really, really good. I think if there's flaws on this album, it isn't. I mean, I really like the fact that it was hastily put together like it was, but a lot of the rapping on the album isn't done by Westside Gunn, and whereas in the past he's had Conway the Machine. Is it Conway the Machine? I hope it is. I hope I haven't read that down wrong. Benny the Butcher backing him up. Here we've got SD Knack and Stove God Cooks, who are lesser cogs in the Griselda world. So they probably occupy at least half of this mixtape. But like I said before, it has got a breezy charm about it. It doesn't ask you to invest too much. The highlights are when Westside Gunn is rapping, and the production is often good throughout. It's an easy, lush listen. So I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10 for Peace Fly God from Westside Gunn.